Hi everyone, we're going to look at goal setting now as part of the applied sports psychology. This is part of task 2, so learn objective 2, where we're looking at techniques that we might use to influence the motivation of athletes and people taking part in fitness. Just to highlight this picture here, you can see that this person here has got a goal on the other side of this cliff and they're laying jigsaw pieces. This really is the heart of what we're trying to achieve here with goal setting. Is we've got a goal somewhere, we know what we want to try and achieve in the long term. What's the steps I need to put in place to really reach that goal? If we think about objective wise, you'll see that these statements here are just specific versions of the criteria you've got. So when we talk about goal setting in particular, P1, we're looking to describe the application of goal setting within sport and exercise. We look at M1, we're trying to explain how and why goal setting has an influence on motivation. And lastly, for distinction, you'll be expected, if you look at goal setting, to evaluate its effectiveness as a technique to influence motivation. So there's 3 types of goals that we could possibly set ourselves or our athletes. The first one is outcome goals. And we say that our outcome goals are focused purely on the desired end result. So these could be in the short term or the long term, but whichever they are, it could be about winning, it could be about beating someone. We're not really fussed about how well we do it, the strategies and how well we deploy everything that we've been planning to use and training to use. We're not fussed about that at all. It's just about the result. These type of goals are most effective if they are long-term goals. So perhaps it's Roger Federer is going from major tournament to major tournament, or Mo Farah is going from Olympics to Olympics. Chris Froome, Bradley Wiggins going from Tour de France to Tour de France. They are less controllable. What we mean by that is that it's not so easy for me as an athlete to really dictate how well I can work towards that goal, how likely I am to achieve it. There's so many factors that are involved in me winning or beating someone on the day. With this in mind, the actual effectiveness of them is quite limited unless we use the other 2 types of goals. So that second type of goal we're going to look at is a performance goal. It's pretty much what it says on the tin. This is all about performing as an individual. So we're looking here not about winning the race. If I'm Mo Farah, I'm looking about posting the time that I want to post. So it's about personal standard, if you like. For that reason, it's not affected by anyone else. So if I'm Mo Farah, it doesn't matter if any of my people I'm racing against actually go out and post a better time, because that wasn't my intention in the first place. My intention was to run my race and to run it at the pace that I was setting out to run. So for that reason we say it's totally under my control. These type of goals are really useful if we're trying to monitor achievement of our process goals, which we'll look at in a moment. But also if we're trying to progress towards the desired outcome goal. So we've got that Olympics in 3 years time now if we're Mo Farah, and he will use these performance goals and say, okay, well maybe in the upcoming European Championships or the World Championships, this is the sort of time I want to be posting there. Very, very useful, these type of goals, because they can really keep that satisfied feeling going. So even if an athlete's not winning, perhaps they've just come back from an injury and they're not even expecting to win. What they're looking for though is to go out and do well on the day, do well for them and in their current fitness level. So we've got a third type of goal, we call that the process goal. and these deal with the technique or the strategy that we deploy in order to make sure that we do perform. So again, the athlete's in complete control. It is allowing them to map their route towards the desired outcome goal, but also towards having a good performance. So Mo Farah, again, if he set himself a target of running a race in 30 minutes, what he's got to be thinking about is, well, how am I going to do that? So when we talk about process goals, some of these might be doing certain things in training, but also when I go out on the day, it's about putting the day to the side, it's about putting the race to one side, putting the outcome of that race to one side. Even putting the time that I want to post to one side completely and saying to myself, that doesn't matter, I can't think about that, what I've got to focus on is how am I going to run my race. So for Mo Farah, how quickly am I going to run off the line? Am I going to lead, or am I going to let someone else take the lead and I will just wait on their shoulder? Am I going to try and extend the pace and create myself a lead? Or am I going to trust myself that I've got a faster finish than everyone else here? So these process goals will help us to focus our attention. So for that reason, they're very effective in helping to control anxiety. So if I know that I'm someone who worries a lot about major events, if I focus on the process, not the winning, I actually just do it. So, and that's where the Nike Tick slogan comes from, just do it. It's all about focus on the process. Control the controllables. What can you do? For that reason, it also encourages the development of the growth mindset. And the growth mindset is really all about understanding that it's within my capacity to do what I want to do. And if I work hard enough at it, I will make the progress I want. If I not just work hard enough, but I train correctly, I train to my training plan, I will make the progress. If I deviate from that, if I allow myself to get dragged off course in my training, I've got to accept that I'm at fault for that. And I will lose because I didn't do it, not because someone's better than me, because I didn't do it. Some examples then. We might increase the distance we train each week. That might be one of our process goals. We might look to just run as far as we can, but at a 5-minute mile pace. Or we might use a pre-event routine before each high jump. And that might be part of our process that we're going to do, just to help us to not think about winning. So how do these fit together? Well, quite simply, if we want to get the long-term outcome, we have to have the right processes and we have to have the right performances. The process comes first. If I get the process, I can get the performance. So therefore, if I put those two together as goals, I want to run it in this time. Mo Farah wants to run his 10k in 30 minutes. What are the processes I've got to do? How have I got to do that? If I add those two together, I will get my outcome. I will get where I want to go. Think about timescales. Here is a diagram of a periodization chart. So if this is a 1-year cycle, excuse me, if this is a 1-year cycle, what I find myself with here is I'm starting here and I've got a goal at the end here, so I want to be. So I break my season down into smaller periods and I set specific goals for these periods. So in order to move from the start of the year to where I want to be at the end of the year, I have to work out that maybe these yellow boxes are 2-month periods, maybe 3-month periods. Where am I going to be? So I'm starting here, so in 2 months time I need to be here. In 2 months more time, I need to be here. And then we break those down even further, and we come into some shorter term goals. So if in 2 months I need to have moved to here, and then 2 more months I need to be here, well, where do I need to be maybe after 3 weeks? I need to be here, and then 3 more weeks I need to be here, and then 3 more weeks I need to be here, if this is going to correlate. Now obviously if I start week 1 of my year and after 3 weeks I'm behind, I've got to reassess, I've got to work out how I'm going to catch up. Otherwise I will always be behind the game, if you like, and when I come to the end I won't be at my planned target, my planned outcome. In terms of the principles, there are rules for how we set goals, things we need to do to make them most effective. Now I'm not going to ask you to listen to me go through all those. What I'm going to ask you to do is to either follow this link here to thesportinmind.com, and you can either search for that by copying that link across, or just searching for the article on the Sport in Mind called Goal Setting. Or for those of you with a QR reader on your mobile phone or tablet, you can just scan this code, maybe pause this video now, scan that in, and you'll be able to get that on your phone directly. You'll be able to save it to your Pocket account or to your Google Drive or wherever you like. So if you take the time to scan that, read it, you can either pause it and read it now, or come back to it later on. So in terms of moving on with goal setting, once we've actually set the goals, we now need to present them to the athlete. And there's different ways we can do this, but I like the goal setting staircase. Literally is, please excuse the crude drawing, but it is what it says it is. It looks like a staircase. What it involves is us demonstrating to the athlete, well, here's where you are now, here's where you want to be. How do each of the short-term goals fit in? How do they build successively upon each other? So that means we get a really manageable step-by-step process. Great for 2 reasons. It's going to give that athlete some realistic mini steps they can see. They can see how they're going to get from where we are now to where we want to be. But also, if we do make a mistake, or we slip back, or we lose motivation, it means we can reassess, we can look at what we've achieved so far. My apologies. We can see where we are, and we can help to keep that motivation back up. It helps us just keep going. So for merit, how does goal setting work? Well, 4 key ways really. Number 1, it focuses our attention. It gives us something to say that we're trying to stick to, much like people who are trying to diet. If they are setting themselves goals that they want to achieve a weight loss in a given period of time, they're more likely to focus on their diet. Same here. If I know I want to be maybe running 5 seconds quicker in 6 weeks' time than I am now, I'll focus my attention on doing the right things in training to help me progress towards that. It helps us to mobilise effort, and that links again with the coming in back with the attention. If I focus on what I need to do, I'm more likely to put the effort into the training when I do go. It enhances persistence. So what that means is that yes, I'm motivated to go training, I'm motivated to start, but I'm more likely to keep at it even when things aren't going so well. So maybe it's raining, maybe it's really, really cold and I don't want to be outside, but I know I've got to be doing it. And lastly, it encourages the individual to develop their own strategies, or to develop strategies with their coach. And that's very much linking into these really long-term goals. Well, if I know in 4 years' time I want to be the Olympic champion, what am I going to need to be able to do in 2 years' time, and 1 year's time, and 6 months' time, And crucially, how am I going to achieve that? What am I going to change? If I've got the capability to do it, clearly I'm not doing something right now. Something needs to happen. Perhaps I need to increase my fitness. Perhaps I need to work on my tactical game. Something needs to change. Perhaps it's, for cyclists, getting better equipment. If we talk about the effectiveness of goal setting, we're now moving into this distinction realm. There's three things here across the bottom which are problems with goal setting. However, we're going to start off by looking at the positive things. So in '95, Kylo and Landers reported that by setting goals, performance improves by a 0.34 standard deviation. Now remember back to your research methods. A standard deviation of 1 is the highest possible positive correlation. Standard deviation of -1 is the lowest, so it's not relevant at all. It has completely no impact. Not only does it have no impact, it has a negative impact. So what we're saying here is that there is a positive impact. If I goal set, my performance will improve. What I also found was that moderate goals are very good. So not things that seem too far-fetched, but not things that seem too easy. And also, if we combine short and long-term goals, these combinations, if you like, this planning out of, or the periodization, as we referred to it earlier, actually give us the greatest effects. In 2013, Singh did some work with some basketballers and found that the basketballers with the higher ability, they set their goals more frequently, and they found that was quite effective. So he therefore found that more frequent goal setting is more effective to performance levels over the course of a season. It's better to do it little and often rather than do it big and less often. But goal setting is not all positive. There are these three areas where we have some problems. Now, these problems aren't reasons to not goal set. It's very important to say that. But they're problems we need to consider to make sure that we overcome them. One of the things we find is that they can be boring. Goal setting is not something that athletes got into it for. They didn't get into the sport to sit and set goals and set targets. They got in it for the love of doing the sport. So it's not high on their priority list, but it's something that needs to be done all the same. We also find that they are time consuming. It takes up training time when I could be doing my fitness, I could be doing my technical work, I could be doing my tactical work, I could be recovering. So we have to find ways of overcoming that. And one of the most common ways we can do that is we can actually go out to the athlete rather than waiting for them to come to us, come to our office. We go out to them. Also, if we do it out in the field with them, they're in an environment that it's theirs. They feel like they own it, and that is a much more comfortable setting for them. And lastly, our third problem is that athletes frequently set the wrong kinds of goals. They're not actually knowledgeable about what goals are the best. What should I be able to do in 6 weeks' time? What should I be able to do in 6 months' time? Where should I be in a year's time? Because they're not actually that experienced in terms of that element. My apologies. So what we have to make sure we do is work with the coach, with the athlete, and us, the psychologist, to make sure that these goals are fully appropriate. Okay, so hope that's helped you out. I look forward to seeing you back in class, and we'll work on this further.